السلام عليكم. أنا برحب بكم تاني بعد الفاصل. وأنا عارفة إنه في كومنتس كثيرة على البرزنتيشن بتاع التبارك، لكن حندخل طوالي في البرزنتيشن بتاع التنوير، وبعدين حيكون في إن شاء الله فرصة على أساس إنه أي زول عنده أي حاجة يقدر يسأل منها. أقدم لكم متحدثتنا الثانية دكتورة تنوير، أنا بقول اسم كامل، تنوير ببريطانيا. تنوير is a fellow researcher at the Institute Imperial College. وتنوير she's Cambridge PhD from Cambridge. she's a graduate من جامعة الخرطوم زمانك، لكن بعديني برضو بعديني برضو. تنوير she's going to take us in her inspirational journey. عندها يعني حاجة يعني she's got a very interesting story, and I'm sure she's going to inspire a lot of women. فتفضل يا تنوير.
شكرا جزيلا. شكرا. بحب أهنئ كل الأمهات وخاصة أمهات الشهداء والمعتقلين في السودان عين الثورة. إن شاء الله قريبا يكون سودان جميل وحر ومحكوم بسلام وعدالة بإذن الله. So when Rani approached me to come and talk to you today, I was in a bit of a dilemma, just like you, Tabarak, and I didn't know wasn't sure really what to talk about. Do I talk about my research, something that I'm very, very passionate about, it's very exciting, cutting edge research, or do I talk about my personal experience and that experience, the one that led to me now standing here and being a research fellow in Imperial. So then I lost the battle and I decided to give you a bit of both. So I am a fellow researcher in Imperial. My research group is focusing on preterm birth, and to define preterm birth, it is having a baby before 37 weeks. So typical pregnancy would be 40 weeks, and then premature birth would be before 37 weeks. And the reason why it is very exciting research and very kind of cutting edge research is because really it is because of the prematurity. There are really three reasons. So it is actually the major cause of deaths in children under the age of 5. And to put it into perspective, that's more than children, the deaths by malaria, for example. The survivors, most of them, they suffer from sensory difficulties, neurodevelopmental disorders, and mainly breathing problems, because before 37 weeks, the reason why it was called premature birth is because the lungs are not mature. So then they end up having breathing problems. And it is also very, very costly. So a baby would spend 2 to 3 months in baby care unit. And all these disorders are lifelong disorders. They are very, very costly. And I guess the third thing, and that's really really important, is that it's a very, very traumatic experience. And I'm here today and I'm talking from experience. And I would like to share with you my journey, and I hope that it will inspire other women in my situation. Sorry. Right. So this is my curve of happiness. And I started about 2005, but before that, life was really, really rosy to me. I graduated from University of Khartoum, Faculty of Biological Science. I graduated with a first class honors. I was awarded then the Bill Gates Scholarship to come and do my master's degree in Cambridge. I followed it by my PhD in Cambridge as well. I got the departmental award, and just everything was fantastic. and I fell in love with Cambridge, and I fell in love in Cambridge. I got married, and 2005 I had my first daughter, Selma, and Selma was born premature. She was born very premature. She weighed less than a kilo. To be precise, is 925 grams. It was a very difficult time. She stayed in hospital for 2 months. And obviously being in Cambridge, away from family. I do have my sister here, but no one was just around the corner. It was really tough. And then 1 year exactly after, I got my second daughter, Yasmin. and I was still doing my PhD at the time. It was just really, really hard. And Cambridge expectations from PhD is just very, very high. So that first dip there is the time when they were almost like twins, and I was doing my PhD at the time. Lots of struggles really. At that time I moved to London, so I was commuting back to Cambridge. There were financial struggles obviously as well. I have 2 daughters that I have to find care for, and I must say that that fall there, what made me go through it was the fantastic support network that I had. And I'm going to talk about support system a bit later on. Eventually I got my PhD, and it just had a bitter taste to it, because at the time, that was 2008, my eldest daughter, Selma, the one who was born premature, then that was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And it is like you've been hit by a train. Mixed really feelings, sadness, shock, anger as well. And I didn't even know what autism is. And they left us with very little information, very little expectations of her kind of abilities and what she'll be able to do. And they didn't even refer her to, we were put on a waiting list for speech and language therapist. And but they referred me and Dad, my husband, to psychologists to try and deal with it and accept it. A really, really, really difficult time. As I said, no one to turn to really. We asked the people that we know, doctors that we know, Sudanese doctors, what can be done. Nothing really can be done. It's a lifelong disorder. You have to just get along with it. It's just a conventional speech and language therapy, occupational therapy. At that point I just broke down, just really shattered into pieces. And I said I was going to talk about support, and I would like to talk about, I think it's very important to identify your support system. And I like to call it, there is the kind support and there is the not so kind support. Both are really very important. So the kind support, for example, I would find from my sister. So I would go to her and I would cry. So she's the shoulder to cry on. She would say, it's going to be okay. Don't worry too much about it, and it's going to get better. And then the other not so kind support is from my husband. Being a typical man, he said, but sometimes you need that. You need someone around you who is very practical. And he said, well, we can either just really cry about it, focus on ourselves, our misery, cry about it, or we can just kind of step out of ourselves and help her, really do something to help her. And so this is what we then decided to do. And I really like to focus at this point on, thank you. I really would like to focus on just a couple of poses here. And I really would like to say this because I I feel it's very important to share things like this. So communication is really, really a key, and not just or network, not just our, I'm sure all of us, we do have our network, we do, we know each other, we kind of reach out to each other, but then it's sometimes really important to step out of our comfort zone and reach out, kind of expand really our network. The most helpful advice I found from people who are not Sudanese, and just because it's not, there is nothing really medically or physically wrong with her. It was the cognitive behavioral condition and sensory difficulties. And if I then would, so through connections we get to know people who've been through this journey. We try different things, and they're not the type of things that I would just, so if I say it now, then people will just probably laugh. So we tried things like, for example, homeopathy, and which is not very, there is no Sudanese doctor will advise you to try this. We tried things like, and these are the things that you will not get to know about from our network. Things like horse riding, sound therapy, music therapy, and biomedical practitioner. We got to know about, there is someone who sort of basically looking at Selma's diet and sort of supplements, vitamins and minerals, was more than a dietitian, more kind of focused on biomedical intervention really. And so then things started to get a little bit better. Selma was not started to speak when she was 5. So at that point, and just the things that it was a kind of a learning journey for me as well. I learned a lot from her. I learned to be patient. I learned that speech is not everything. It's really the communication. So then she started to speak, but then the communication was not there. So so there were times when sort of she would say things, but then it did not make any sense to us. It's very difficult to comfort her because she wouldn't understand hugging or kissing, or so it was really, really hard. But yeah, things started to get better, and she started school, mainstream school, primary school, and there was the ups and downs, and all that time it was just the focus on really believing really that she will make it. And so then things got better, and it was until Selma started secondary school. So she's in an outstanding mainstream secondary school. She is, bless her, she's a real fighter. She is my inspiration, to be quite honest. And then I decided that I would like to go back to what I really like to do, which is research. And it took me 3 years looking for a research post. And so this step here is just, I think what I've learned from it is that I've been trying the same thing again and again, and Einstein said that it is sort of insanity to try the same thing and expect different results. So it's so most of the skills I guess I've learned were in these low points where things were really, really difficult. I learned to be resilient. I've learned many skills really, networking, sort of identifying the support around me, reflecting really, and appreciating the sort of the blessings that I had. So then after 3 years and not going anywhere, I kind of had a, a plan B. And I want to talk about this because I think it's very important when you want to succeed, is that you need to be flexible. You have to have, if you're just knocking on the same door and it's not opening, you need to try and find somewhere else. So yes, I started kind of looking for posts. wasn't going very well, and I decided to just take initiative really and go and approach the people who I wanted really to work with. And at the same time, I was applying to something that's called Daphne Jackson Trust. And this is a trust that supports women who took a long time from science and sort of took a long career break and would like to come back. But then I wasn't going to wait for this. By then, I've already learned that you just can't be waiting for success to come to you. This is the thing with success. It's you go and chase it. There are for very few people who are really lucky. You chase it, it's there, and I suppose that's what happened to me before 2005. That I thought just you try and you get things and that's it, beautiful, but that's not always the case. So yeah, it's trying. Success is always something that we chase, but then sometimes it just passes by and it won't stop for you. So at that moment, you need to have really your bag full of tools to grab that opportunity. And I thought so got to this at this point really. And so I approached the research group, and I had what to approach them with. I had skills, 10 years old. I didn't have any publications for my PhD, and and I remember saying again to my sister that who would really give me a job? It's been a long time. I haven't been working, and science is just a field that's always growing. So I'm really dated, and don't have any publications. She would say, "Yeah, well, don't give up, try again," and things like that. But and that was good. So this is the kind support that I was talking about earlier. And then my husband would say, "That's right. No one would give you a job, really. It's 99%. No one will give you. You know him." You know him. So he would say 99% you will not get a job. But there is this 1% that you would apply for a job and they are looking for someone with your skills. And that sometimes rosy words and nice words are fine, but then sometimes when someone says something like this, you will be targeting that 1%. And it did make a difference. So then I went with a fresh mind then looking for a job. And as I said, I approached them and I said, I have very little to play with, but I have a lot to play for. I haven't been doing research for a very long time, but I am very passionate about this. And this is the research about preterm birth, and hopefully the findings from it will have a very high impact in then identifying women at high risk of preterm birth and then treatment hopefully after. So then I secured the job in Imperial College, and so I guess if it's just nice to put things like this, because the peak is always, it doesn't, it's good in everything, but I suppose most of the skills I gained here at these low points. And then when I look back, it was a roller coaster. There were struggles, and these were very, very difficult times. But then I've learned a lot, really. These were I developed the key skills, this resilience, this to know how to approach people and how to brave things, really. I've learned them at these low points. So if I would boil kind of the key things that really works for me is that I used to always reflect on my life, thinking about when that curve, every low dip is always followed by you're going on up. So سبحان الله الأيام نداولها بين الناس. So there are your low times, there are your good times, and it's very good to embrace it all, really. Unshameful self-promotion. And earlier Tabarak, she was talking about sort of giving women opportunities. And just a couple of weeks ago, I went to this talk, a presenter from a company called Bayer. It's a pharmaceutical company. And very interestingly, she was saying that we cannot hire women who do not really apply for the job. And basically you have to be in it to win it. And she was saying that if a man qualifies or meets 20% of the job description, they will straight apply for it. Women, it has to be at least 80% to then apply for it. Yeah. So we're really disadvantaging ourselves by not putting ourselves forward. I think we're being really perfectionist. Absolutely. So I think it is very important that opportunities are there, but then sometimes when we look that women are not being given, and now I think this experience is from me as a Sudanese woman in this country. There are lots of opportunities for women in general, and from different backgrounds, ethnic minorities. In the workplace, there are a huge kind of movement towards in 2020, then we'll have this gender equality. So we should really make use of it, make the best out of it. It's out there, but we have to really reach for it. Expand network. As I said, we're comfortable within our network, but it's really important to try and build bridges and sort of build relationships with people really outside, because then you will get to know about things that you didn't even know. So if you know something, then you will go and ask. But if you don't know it exists in the first place, where would you look? And that really helped me when Selma was diagnosed. So all these alternative therapies, something worked, and she progressed, and I'm really glad that I then expanded it, and now I'm seeing the benefit of being able to kind of have this networking skills, because it's very useful, it's very helpful. It will hopefully get me my next job if I didn't go and actually approach my supervisor and say, look, I am here, I don't have a job, I don't have a contract, I don't have skills, but I'm willing to learn, I'm very passionate, and I'm passionate because this is something very personal to me. And he was willing to give me the job even before I got my Daphne Jackson Award. So you have to go out and really grab opportunities. As I said, success will not wait for you, it will just pass by. You need to grab it. At that moment, you need to have your bag full of skills and make the best out of it. Flexibility, again, as I said, I kept on knocking on the same door again and again and again. And if that's just not going to happen, then you have to try and find an alternative, really. And sometimes alternatives are not all too bad. Identify your support system. And again, you اسمع كلام اللي بيبكيك وكلام اللي بيضحكك الاثنين. I believe you have to do both. Because sometimes كلام اللي بيبكيك, it is just very honest, very blunt, but it shakes something in you, and then you or maybe make you angry. Or so it's اسمع exactly. اسمع كلام both, really. And I suppose that's it, really. I just, if time allows, I would like to just share a little bit of a story. It's actually a piece that's been written by a mom who had a child with severe autism, and so they asked her to explain how it feels to have a child with needs. And she put it in a very simple way, but a very, very powerful way. And I'm sure I relate to her, obviously. My daughter is on the spectrum, but I'm sure this will apply to all of you, because I'm sure at some point in your life you went through times that were very difficult. And when you hear the story, I'm sure it will sort of touched something in you. So she was saying that when you're expecting a baby, it's like when you're planning a trip to Italy. You go and you buy the guidebooks, you start planning things, you get very excited, you start planning things, places that we're going to go, places that we're going to see, and you even sort of learn some phrases, and then you go on your journey. And when you get there, then the air hostess would say, "Welcome to Holland." And you feel really shocked, and then this shock turns into kind of anger. Why am I here in Holland? I didn't sign for Holland. I really wanted to go to Italy. And you see people busy going to Italy all the time, and you always say, I was supposed to be on that plane. I wanted to go to Italy. But then they will say to you, sorry, well, the plan is landed, and you just have to go to Holland. And then you get into Holland, and you just, it's mixed feelings. You're sad, you're angry, as if almost you want a refund. And then you start obviously buying guidebooks. You start to learn the language. You need to talk to people. You then make connections with people that you never thought that you'll know. Not the people that you will make friends with, but then you make connections. And then you settle down, and then you free yourself to see the beauty of Holland. It's always going to be at the back of your mind that was not the original plan. I did not want to go to Holland. I wanted to go to Italy. But now you're thinking Holland is nice too. It's different, but it's nice too. And I feel it is very important to free ourselves from being very rigid. And this is what we want. Life is not supposed to be orderly. The only constant thing in life is change. So being really flexible and freeing yourself, then you will enjoy what you have really. This is a quote that I really liked, because this is Zaha Hadid. She is, I'm sure you probably know her. She's an Iraqi lady, an influential architect, failed so many times but just did not give up and really followed her passion, followed her dream, and that's why I thought I wanted to put in my first slide that I'm not just a mother and a scientist, I'm a dreamer as well. I think it's very important that you identify a dream, identify a goal that you're kind of going towards. If things don't go well at this time, maybe it will go well another time, or maybe this is not just a path for you. Your success will not be determined by your gender and your ethnicity, but only by the scope of your dreams. And I also just wanted to share with you Selma in pictures. So this is Selma when she was born. As I said, she was just less than a kilo. And then this is my graduation that, it was nice, and I had all the family coming to Cambridge for the graduation, but there was just this grip on my heart that Selma was just diagnosed a couple of weeks before that. And then this is Selma starting secondary school, very independent, and she's here. She's got her second ear piercing. She turned 14 last month, and I hope that I can put so many pictures here, and I hope that she is going to be a very successful, very strong woman. She's a real fighter. Thank you very much for listening.
دكتورة تنوير، يعني أنا قدام الناس دي كلها بحييكي to bring a timeline دي and to make it inspiring. لأنه أنا بعمل برنامج زي دي في leadership programs. It's never inspiring. الدبس بتاعتهم is all about misery. So you made it really, really inspiring for me today. I learned a lot from it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think it's important that It's basically how you reflect back on your life. But then if you kind of put it in a very visual graph, you will see that wasn't too bad. Rocky journey, but it had its moment. And then even at the low moments, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be in Imperial. I wouldn't be kind of trying to fulfill that dream if I didn't go through those dips and learned all those skills. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience. I think we should always also aim to share our personal experiences and don't shy away from
Absolutely.
Whether they're painful or there is always a nice bit about it.
Absolutely.
And there is always an experience to share with others.
Yes.
And I think you also illustrated the example of how to integrate within a community as well. You've used all the resources that you've got. And I think it's all about integration and using the resources that you've got wherever you are, anywhere
really
outside.
Flexible
there is always good thing. It's not like looking at things. We are away from our countries and it's all miseries, all this. No, there are so many good things. I think we've had a lot of good experiences. We work here. We are really grateful.
That's right.
To using the resources, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you. Just before I leave, can I just also mention, just because obviously I'm very passionate about children who's got special needs and about their education. There is a fantastic organization في السودان اسمها أيدي لا تمل. Please, if you find any opportunity to support them, that would be great. They're doing a fantastic work في السودان ما فيه lots of resources. ما فيه so I went to Sudan recently and I was talking to teachers in different schools. There is not even something that's called the special education need department in schools, which is really, really sad. And these children, they can progress if you put the right intervention in place and you start very early on. And this ID La Tumil is it's an organization. It's just made by moms really who were desperate. And in this, I find myself, I'm really lucky to be here. And the support, the amount of support here is just, there is nothing really in Sudan. So please, I urge all of you and to tell people that if anyone can support the ID Latimil organization, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
الحقيقة لما كنت بفكر في الندوة بفكر في الجزء بوك سمارت، كنت متأكدة إنه تبارك ما حتخزني. تكلمت معاها كنت بفكر في how to innovate for change. في الوقت ذاك جاتني من أنا في جروبات كثيرة بتاعت واتساب، جاتني القصة الستوري بتاعت تنوير. ما كنت بعرف تنوير أنا، جاتني القصة من different groups. وبعدين كل ما تجيني بقراها and I found it very inspiring. وبعدها قمت قلت يا اخوان تعرفوا تنوير؟ فلقيت 1000 من دلاني عليها واتصلت بها. and I'd like to thank her. and أنا أول حاجة دايرة أثني على الشجاعة بتاعتها. أنا عارفة إن it's very hard to share personal experience، لكن sometimes when it's very inspiring that's the way إحنا نتعلم من بعض. وافتكرت إن التجربة بتاعتها would be inspiring ما بس للناس للأمهات اللي بيكون عندهم children with special needs، لكن برضو في مجموعة كبيرة for different reasons وقفوا ودايرين يرجعوا back to career. So I thought that would be very inspiring. Yes, and that's going to be very inspiring.
تفضل. أقول حاجة ثانية إنه طبعا الوالد صديق، فهي دي الجينز بتاعت الوالد. دكتور عمر.
لا.
طيب شكرا جزيلا شكرا جزيلا والله لكم الاثنين برزنتيشن. وانا صراحه سعيد جدا وسعيد بالاحفاد، لان الاحفاد بقت مناره لنا مش في السودان، في العالم العربي، انا في السعوديه لما نعرف الاحفاد الناس جايه على لفه. لكن داير اقول بس حاجتين سريعات ده ما في بدل نطول عليكم ونشيل الزمن ده. انا والله زي ما قالت برضه فيري امبرست بالطريقه اللي انت عملتها البرزنتيشن ده في 3 سلايد. هسه انا اتعلمت منك انه الانباك بتاع الحاجه دي. لا انا قريت الستوري اللي ارسلتها لي يا دكتور ساره، وانا صراحه كل مره بكتشف واكتشافي متواصل. قبل شهر جينا في القاعه في الجامعه جبنا دكتور سهير حمد الدين. انا جوني ناس في البريك قلت لهم والله ما كنا قاعدين في سودانيات بالدرجه دي. قلت له يا جماعه كل ما تيجي السودان نور جديد تقولوا لي انها كثيرات مش شويه. يعني سهير حمد الدين كاتبين عنها، شوف الكلام ده انا قريته. انا برضه اقول حاجه ثانيه، انا كل الله قد اداني ليه في الدنيا دي عملت محاضره في كامبريدج، هسه شادي بقى عضلاتي كده في الجامعه. ما بالك انت قريت في كامبريدج. فانا بقول للناس دائما يا جماعه الحاجات دي ما تمشوها ساكت. اتس بريفليج لزول في شيكرا في كامبريدج، اتس بريفليج يكون عندنا بروفيسور قاعده في جامعه ريدنج. السنتر اللي فيه الدكتوره ده من اكبر السنتر المهتمه بالكونستراكشن في السستينابيلتي، وانا بعرف الدكتور بحيري ودي كلهم بعرفهم. طيب انا داير اقول شنو، والله داير ادعي دعوه طالما بالنسبه للاحفاد دي. وطبعا عندنا اكثر امراه سودانيه رحمه الله عليها ترحم عليها بروفيسور صديقه وشي كانت في الاحفاد. صديقه وشي دي انا كنت مره تكلمت عنها في الندوه وسالت السودانيين كلهم في ابرار، مش في ابرار، في الجامع بتاع اسمه المنار. المحاضره دي مسجله. قلت لهم بتعرفوا اكثر مراه سودانيه اتشيف سمثينج في الساينس اند تكنولوجي في العالم؟ بقى في السيزون القاعه كلها ما عرفت. كنت فيري شوكت وموجوده الفيديو ده. صديقه وشي دي رحمه الله عليها وربنا يخفي يعني دخيل الجنه، كانت اول امراه قال لك من افريقيا ترأس الانترناشونال فيدريشن بتاع الهيلث ايكونومكس، مش الهيلث ايكونومكس، الهوم ايكونومكس. احنا في الايكونوميك عندنا كميه من الديسيبلين. اول امراه كاتبين عنها كده، مش قالوا بروفيسور شاطر بتاع، قال لك اول فيميل من افريقيا تكبر رئيسه للانترناشونال فيدريشن بتاع يعني يسب بيك اشيفمنت، تجي في قاعه ضخمه وين في لندن. يا جماعه بتعرفوا عندنا البروفيسور دي ما في زول يعرفها، وكل القاعه مليانه كل الاشكال الناس كانوا فيها. انا داير اقترح واقدم المناشده دي لناس اخواننا في الاحفاد وبيكون باسمكم، وانا اول ذولا بيسبورتي شهريا نعمل وومن ليدرشيب فورم. ودي عملناها معنا، ليه ما نعمل نجيب الناس دي؟ اديكم واحده قلتها مره في اجتماع الناس كلهم بيعلموني كده، قلت لهم استرو. في دكتور اسمه منى عبد العزيز دي الدايركتور اوف بابليك هيلث ان وارنجتون. قلت المثال ده مره في بعض الجزيره، قال لي وارنجتون دي، قلت لهم وارنجتون دي تخيل مدني والحلال بتاعتها الدكتوره دي مسؤوله من صحه البشر دي كلها. ها؟ قال واحد قال لي شنو؟ قال له والله فعلا دي راجل بتراجل، حتى في الشكر شكرها بالراجل. والله العظيم هذه وارنجتون الدايركتور بتاعت الهيلث فيها كلها الدكاتره بعرفوا احسن منكم. اذا سودانيس PhD من كامبريدج تحت الدبلومه. فانا بقترح يا جماعه، عشان ما انا كنت ارسل لكن ما درست. انا بقترح نعمل يا جماعه ونعملها في لندن، لانه لندن الحركه فيها سهله، ويا ريت تتبنوها ناس الاحفاد. انا اول زول بالصبوخ لكن خلوه يا جماعه عملوه كبير، يعني نجيب الناس دي كل شيء يعملوا مورال ويعملوا ليدر، يعني يعملوا للناس شنو انسبيريشن للشباب، ما للنسوان بس للرجال. مثلا بيجي بشوف ناس زي ديل بقول ما ابقى زيهم يوم من الايام. انا في رايي يا جماعه حته مهمه جدا احنا قاعد ننبه لها كثير والله، مش في السودان. الاستاتستيك حقت اليونايتد نيشن دي الناس لما ينظروا لها ما ينظروا لها اير باي اير. نحن الكلمه دي بس ظهرت في اخر سلايد يا دكتوره، كتبت الترندز. نحن بنقول دائما لما تيجي تعرف حال البلد تشوف الترند ماشي كيف، يعني الترند ماشي لفوق ده اللي بيهمنا ولا ماشي لتحت. لكن في السنه دي يطيش ولا قل واحد دي ما مشكله. السودان بديكم معلومه شوكينج او شوفوها في اليونايتد نيشن ديفلوبمنت، السودان في التعليم ماشي لفوق. في زمن البشير اللي احنا كل يوم طالعين فيه ده دي التقارير بتقول كده، دي واحده. والله العظيم. الحاجه الثانيه يا ريت الناس برضه في التقارير دي، التقارير دي متوفره يا جماعه، والله انا عارفه انا ما مختار كم زول جاي في التعليم ده، لكن انا جبته مره في القاعه عشان اقول للناس يا جماعه احنا المفروض نناقش القضايا بطريقه علميه. الامم المتحده اخذت السودان الترند بتاعه في الاديوكيشن ماشي لفوق بالبلاوي
في العدد بس.
ايوه الحاجه الثانيه اللي بقولها يا جماعه برضه مهمه في التقارير دي لو قدرتوا تشوفوها.
دكتور يا اخي الوقت
حاضر، بس ده اقول حاجه بس صغيره بس، التقارير دي يا ريت الناس ينظروا لها ان كومباريزون والدول الزينا. يعني احنا وضعنا بالعالم بالدول الافريقيه كيف، عشان ما نحس بان احنا حياتنا منتهيه ولا حالتنا كويسه. انا شايف دي بس الحته اللي كنت انا بقولها بس.
بإيدنا 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 بإيدنا